and this happens occasionally with both of us, where there's an idea and it's like not sold. And sometimes it's okay, moving on. And sometimes it's, I really want to do this. What is the way to get this other person on board with it?
Come on and visit for any occasion. Don't keep patting down waiting. Comics and conversation. Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics, keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers. And now, here are Patrick Brower and W. Dal Bush.
New phone, who dis?
It's Contest of Challengers, a comics industry business podcast on the Ag Channel Podcast Network. I'm Dal, you're Patrick.
Oh, hey, how's it going?
Hey, how are you?
So I was going to make a deal about saying, welcome back to the podcast, Dal. You haven't been on in 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. I mean, you missed one, but it was 2 weeks ago since you were on, so okay. It feels like 2 weeks. And then how great it is to be able to record normally and not have any technical difficulties.
Ha ha ha.
Except we just had a series of technical difficulties where the app, which now records audio to a different folder than before, on its own accord. It used to have a folder called Rec-Up. Now it has Rec-Up Memos.
Okay.
So it goes in memos, but we didn't hear any of the beeps. And the last time we didn't hear a beep, that episode was not recorded. And so we did a couple of tests, and I had to go check it out. And it turns out that when I turned my headphones off when I got to the studio, they didn't totally turn off, so they were still synced to the phone.
Oh.
So we couldn't hear anything because it was in the headphones.
I see.
Because the phone was still synced.
Interesting.
So even as I'm playing back, I'm like, I don't hear anything. Then it gets to the end of here. I'm like, wait, that's coming from a different point of the studio, not where I'm looking. And then I figured out, headphones are still on. Fixed now, though. You even heard the beep when it started.
I did.
Just like old times. I say old, but it's a brand new phone, and hopefully it'll, not do anything different for anybody involved.
Well, I hope not. Certainly not for anyone listening.
Sure. And because we've had this brief time off, and not time off at all, actually... Maybe
not for you.
No. Last week's episode took 4 times the amount of energy to produce an episode that ultimately I was very unhappy with, but not due to the fault of the people involved, just due to the fault of technology. So once again, I apologize to Aubrey Sitterston and Chris Moreno for not being able to have them heard the way they meant to be heard, or were meant to be heard on this podcast. I certainly think we clock in as the least professional of podcast episodes that they were a part of.
Yeah, so far, yes.
Yeah, who knows what else happens.
Yeah, could be worse.
There we go. But, Dal, seeing as how time has passed, and even though we had enough material to record last week, I believe.
Okay.
It just didn't work out right. You were unavailable. I was working on the wrestling podcast.
Yep.
So we decided to put that up and hold off a week. And since then, at least one of the topics that we were going to talk about has mildly corrected itself.
Yep.
So you already know which one I'm going to say?
I imagine.
Which one do you think it is?
I believe it's the Isola
Mark
prologue.
Waid.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
The Isola prologue. I guess, long story short, the Isola collection that came out to comic shops is different than the Isola collection that came out to Barnes & Noble. Specifically, the prologue story that was serialized in Motor Crush prior to the release of Isola #1 was not collected in the comic shop and non-Barnes & Noble bookstore graphic novel version.
Yeah, and it wasn't just the first whatever pages of Isola #1. It was a 5-part story.
A brand new story serialized specifically to build up the excitement for Isola. So it was material that would not appear in Isola #1. Originally, Image's plan, judging from the solicitation information that we found online, was that they would be producing a special Isola prologue that they would be releasing to shops in bundles of 25 for every 25 copies of Isola number 6 that you ordered. Now, it wasn't tied to the graphic novel, and it wasn't tied to Isola number 6. It was for every 25 you order of Isola number 6. So if you were a store like us that, say, didn't order more than 25 copies of Isola number 6...
Yeah, I mean, we did order more than that of number 1.
But we weren't selling that much by the time issue 5 rolled around.
No.
So we were not going to qualify for it, and we were not going to get any copies of the prologue. Again, kind of despite how many copies of the graphic novel we might order initially or over time, we would not have copies of the prologue to give to those customers. What Image has done is that they've actually changed the terms where for every copy of Isola number 6 that you order, you will get, as a store, a free copy of the prologue. So we can give that to the people who buy Isola number 6. But we can also buy a bundle of 25 copies of the Isola prologue for a very low price. So we can do that kind of in addition to give out to folks that buy the graphic novel for a limited time going forward. I don't know. We haven't really discussed how we're going to do it.
Did you plan on buying a bundle?
The bundle's not very expensive, so
No.
probably.
Okay.
Probably.
I mean, I just figured we would have taken the copies we would have gotten for number 6 and put them with the trade.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, because we're getting a weird number.
Yeah.
So, again, we haven't discussed how we want to proceed with it. So if you'd rather just give it to the people who get the graphic novel, I'm fine with that.
I mean, moving forward, because we don't have a record of people who bought the graphic novel because we really didn't have many
Right.
club
I mean, we
members.
can find subscribers who might have bought it and tip one into their subscription dividers. But, going forward, it's easier just to keep a little stack of them and go, hey, here.
Can we look up subscribers who bought it but didn't order it?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, the issue we had with this all along was Barnes & Noble getting the exclusive content when they didn't support the book by selling the single issues in their stores.
I don't know if I'm as upset about that. I understand that that's a concern a lot of retailers have, and I don't fault them for feeling strongly about it. I don't feel that strongly about it. It's a thing that comes up a lot in comic shops now, the idea of kind of what, not to borrow a line from The Good Place, but what we owe to each other. You know? Like, what does Image owe comic shops who supported the book and helped it get to the stage where it could be a graphic novel that's in Barnes & Noble? It was the same thing, I think, that was said about some... Wasn't there, like, an exclusive book that was done? Oh, like the Walmart stuff.
Yeah.
Where there's a concern, you know, that this is material that is being available first for a chain that doesn't carry graphic novels, doesn't carry other comics, doesn't necessarily have a customer base that knows or cares about the difference between new material or reprint material. So why are they being given a brand new story that would be, you know, celebrated and hugely ordered in the direct market? And, you know, what about all these accounts that have for 20, 30 years been building up, you know, Brian Michael Bendis and Tom King and Adam Kubert and Nick Darrington and DC Comics and all this sort of stuff? I understand why a company like DC or Image does it. Someone comes to them with a bunch of money, or in DC's case, goes to them and asks for a bunch of money. And the thing is, well, what's going to get people to come here and buy it from us?
I think the difference between the things you're asking would be if DC had offered us those 100-page giants without the Bendis or Tom King stories.
Okay.
That's the parallel in this situation.
Okay. I mean, I
because
guess
we were offered the Isola trade.
Right.
We just didn't get the prologue stuff in it. And I don't understand... Now, you had said, Barnes & Noble comes to them. We don't know. Image has never said
it's true.
why this happened.
Yeah. I know that Barnes & Noble has done exclusive covers from Image graphic
and
novels.
I don't care about exclusive covers.
No.
I don't care about...
It's different when it's
book
interior
plates.
material. I get that.
Yeah.
When it's content, sure. I guess for me, like, I don't care as much because I understand how and why it happens. And asking either the creator...
But we just said we don't know how and why.
Well, I guess what I'm going to say is that asking the creators of the book to pass up on essentially what's more than likely, and I'd be shocked if it were anything else, a deal to buy a substantial quantity of the Isola graphic novels. I don't know why I would ask them to do that.
Well, it's not as substantial as you think because Brian Hibbs has the numbers.
Okay.
And Barnes & Noble versus comic stores ordered way more.
Well, I mean, I'm not expecting Barnes & Noble to exceed the direct market, but as one account...
But, I mean, they should. They have more stores than there are comic stores.
I don't know about that. I've been to the graphic novel section of Barnes & Noble's. They're not that great. It's okay, but it's not that great. I think when we had originally talked about the DC Giants being at Walmart, there was a hope of like, oh my god, like there's how many thousands of Walmarts, and if they're each getting like 50 or 100, and it's like, no, they each got like 5 or 10. Like, it doesn't mean anything. The sales numbers overall are not that substantial.
That was a question that was being asked just today. Like, hey, how many people have gotten customers from these Walmart books to like justify DC doing it? And like, you don't know.
No.
Nobody ever comes in and says, hey, I got this thing at Walmart and I like more comics. Like, you may have gotten customers. You probably have. Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, if someone comes in and buys a random Batman graphic novel and you haven't seen them anymore, and you press them on, why did you come and get this Batman graphic novel? Maybe they'll tell you.
Maybe.
But that's a really, like, intrusive, rude question to kind of, like, interrogate someone.
Why are you here?
Yeah. Why are you buying this?
Why did you come here?
I would hope maybe you don't phrase it that way.
The biggest problem I have with it is the timing. We don't get this book until the middle of January. The prologue.
Oh, the prologue, yeah. Because that's the thing when 6 comes out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not great. Yeah. I don't know. Like, I guess I come down on the side
I'm not
of...
wielding a torch on this one.
No.
But I just think it leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
Sure. And
especially, like, Brendan Fletcher... I almost said Brendan Fraser. Brendan Fletcher had called me, and we talked about the book and stuff like that. And, like, I felt we had a rapport.
The side I come down on it is, again, I'm not mad about it, but I understand why
I'm not mad at that.
I understand why stores would be mad about it. So, I mean, if you feel strongly about it, or if an online person feels very strongly about it on a forum, okay. I'm not going to fight about it, and I'm not going to complain about it. I get why it's happening. But if someone wants to be mad at Image about it, or the creators specifically... Okay.
Yeah, that's the thing. Because it's an Image property, the creators have to sign off on it.
Yeah.
This is not a Marvel or DC publisher decision. This is the creators have to say it's okay.
You couldn't possibly, and someone I'm sure did stupidly, get mad at like Tom King and Brian Bendis for doing the 100-page Giants. So, like,
well, I mean, people can get mad at Tom King for anything, and they do.
Right, and it's dumb. But for a business decision like that, the creators don't really have any say over it. Unless you're creator-owned, and then you absolutely have say over it.
The irony of the Walmart situation is that we had bought the first chapter of each the Tom King and the Brian Michael Bendis stories from Walmart, and I haven't read them yet.
I think they published them online, didn't they? The first chapters? Parts of them, anyway.
Parts of them, I think. It wasn't the full thing.
Whatever.
But, I mean, I physically bought them at Walmart.
Yeah, I'm excited to read both those things, but not so excited I have to read them now. I can read them next year. It's fine.
When they're collected, that's fine.
I got other Batman and Superman comics to read in the meantime. It's going to be okay. Everyone's going to be okay.
Speaking of Image, not quite favorably as we were, perhaps we... and this may be a little bit strong, perhaps we want Image to die.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
That's a good segue.
Here, thanks very much. That you can't see the notes, or maybe you can, but I'm jumping all over the place.
Oh, I can't see the notes, but I usually don't look at them, so
I
can be
surprised. Fully using the
big
Contest of Challengers whiteboard for this episode.
Board.
So it turns out that a thing happened that was, I guess, our fault, ultimately.
Hard to tell, but, I mean, we weren't blameless, that's for sure.
Sure. And we were only alerted by a customer who was in today, and I made a point to not say a word about it.
So the story is Image Comics Die was not originally solicited to retailers. Copies just showed up in everyone's boxes the week, I think, of San Diego.
Yeah.
Of issue 1.
Surprise.
And then the same thing happened with issues 2 and 3. So we had
They built them off of Outcast numbers, right? Or, I'm sorry.
I can't remember.
Not Outcast, Oblivion Song.
Yeah, something. Probably Oblivion Song. So we weren't ordering it until issue 4, because I want to say that might have been where they showed up in previews, but I can't remember.
And the issue was, once issue 1 came out and a few people said, hey, can you add this to my list? We can't,
Because it doesn't exist.
Didn't exist in Diamond's system. It was listed as retailer thank you.
Yeah.
Like, literally, when I went to order more copies of number 1 or whatever it was, I couldn't find it. I had to dig out the invoice, see what it was listed as, type in the code, and it just came up as retailer thank you.
Yeah, because
as a still active code.
Skybound didn't want people finding it in the system by mistake. People root through stuff like that. The end result was the normal processes that we have to make sure that subscribers get books and that we order books didn't exist for Die. Because of the way it was received on a monthly basis, we weren't able to generate orders for subscribers. Specifically, issues 4, 5, and 6 were listed in, I think it was Diamond's new to order, which is usually where they'll put stuff like toys and things that they want retailers to get orders in now ahead of being listed in previews, so that retailers, and this is diverging a little bit, and I'm sorry for that.
No, it's important.
So the toy stuff was a thing that retailers had asked for, because basically there were a lot of online toy and collectible retailers that as soon as a company like NECA said, hey, we're doing this thing, the online retailer could put it up and go, hey, we're taking orders for this thing. But with Diamond, as a comic shop, if you're ordering it through Diamond, you might have to wait a week or a month before it would be listed in a catalog where you could say, okay, customer, this is what we can offer you. So Diamond instituted a new to order thing where basically Monday through Friday they would have a list of stuff, anywhere between like 3 and 100 items that would be available that day to put orders in on.
Which I think is great.
I think it's really good.
We use it every day, and not only does it show us new product well before it's in previews, we get the product in our stores before it's in previews.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on this, but my understanding of it is that orders placed through new to order basically put you at the top of the queue. So if they get a staggered shipment, essentially like something that we might order in November might be listed in the, shipping in February previews. But if we order it in October instead of ordering it, or if we order it in November instead of ordering it in late December, we might get it in January instead of in February. Or we might get it in February instead of in April.
We use it as a great reorder tool, and what I mean is by the time previews comes out with these items in it, especially if they're toys or pops or something, there's a good chance we've already gotten it in and sold out, so we can reorder through our initial order.
Yeah, so it's largely toys and collectibles, but occasionally comic stuff can slot in there if it's like a new printing.
Yeah, especially second print Marvel books or what have you.
Yeah, that additional variant covers that kind of thing. Almost 100% of the time we do not order comics through new to order because they will show up on the final order cutoffs. And unlike a lot of toys and collectibles, the street date is the street date.
Yeah.
So ordering it on new to order versus ordering it in final order cutoff doesn't get it to us any earlier. It doesn't prioritize us in any way that I've ever seen.
And plus, doing that during FOCs gives you access to your cycle sheets and your sell-through data. Ordering it off of the new to order pages doesn't. You're just saying, here's a thing, how many do you want?
Right. So with Die issues 1, 2, and 3, they just picked a number and they shipped it to us. We didn't pay for them, so they could ship us whatever numbers they wanted. But with issue 4, it's you are choosing a number and you're paying the regular discounted cover price.
Did we not pay for 2 and 3?
I don't think so, because I don't recall us adjusting our numbers.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong on that. I want to say 2 and 3 were the same deal as 1, because of the way that the order numbers were generated and the turnaround on it. So with issue 4, 5, and 6... they were either on new to order, they were on final order cutoff, because the codes, we can look at the catalog number for every item that we get to kind of determine, like, was it listed in the catalog or was it listed outside the catalog? Usually things listed inside the catalog have numbers between 1 and like 3,000. Items listed outside the catalog usually start at like 8,000 something.
Yeah.
They pick the highest number they possibly can because they want to make sure that it won't be duplicated inside the catalog. So if the catalog has never had more than 4,000 items, outside the catalog stuff's going to start at 8,000, so it'll never overlap. So when we found out that we had not ordered Die number 4, we were scrambling to figure out why that had happened. And we looked at the numbers and we found out, okay, that was listed outside the catalog, which is weird because I thought by then
it would have been through initials.
It would have been in the Diamond catalog, but maybe it, if it was in the, like, the catalog we would be... So July was when San Diego Comic-Con was, which was when Die 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 #1 came out. So the next catalog would have been the one shipping in late August.
Yeah.
Probably.
For October.
For October? Well,
October product, yeah.
yes, okay. So I would have thought 4 would have been in there at that point because 4 came out in late October. But I guess 4, 5, and 6, judging from the codes, were listed early. And because they were listed early, they didn't generate subscriber numbers inside our system because that's done when the catalog is imported every month. So as a result, we didn't order any for 4, 5, and 6 because nothing in our system was saying you need to order this minimum number of copies. And I don't recall seeing issue 4 on the final order cutoff screen. Now, it's possible it was because I looked and I found that there was an email from Image at the beginning of October that said Die 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 #4 is on final order cutoff this week.
Every Friday, Image sends us 2 emails. One is just a text file with a list of all the books that are going to be on final order cutoff. The other one is a marketing email with images and descriptions, and they highlight certain books.
Right.
So I never pay attention to the text file email because A, I don't do FOCs. B, I naturally assumed everything on their FOC list will be on FOCs.
Right. So it's possible it was, and I'll allow for that because if we had no subscribers for it and we had no initial orders for it, as I'm doing final order cutoffs, and it's hundreds of items, if I saw a 0 and no subscriber stuff, I might have just skipped past it, figuring it's because this is the case sometimes. An Image comic we don't carry.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I mean, there's not a lot, very, very few. But there are some things where either we had no subscriber interest, or we've had no rack sales, or occasionally both. It might have been in there and I just didn't notice it because everything was 0s. It's not anymore. We placed orders for 4, 5, and 6 to make sure we have a basic number of copies. But now, when issue 4 and 5 and 6 come in, no subscribers are going to be down for it, so we're going to have to remember each time, look through our listing, and then sign people up for those issues individually.
As special orders as opposed to subscriptions.
Because they still are not going to be pulled automatically. So hopefully with issue, 7, they get this thing figured out and everyone's pulled correctly. But, man, sorry to everybody at Challengers who subscribes to or buys Die Die Die. You had to wait a couple extra weeks to get issue 4 because this thing slipped through our fingers because all the procedures that we have to make sure they don't slip through our fingers, this thing worked outside of.
We're most likely going to get 4 and 5 on the same day.
I don't know about that. I think we'll probably get 4 a week before 5.
Well, we're not getting 4. 4 should have come out last week. Or, I'm sorry.
It should have come out last week? On the 4th week of the month. Is that right? 24th?
Last week?
Yeah. Because that was when we were getting notified, hey, why didn't I get this book? And we had to figure it out.
Not this week, and it's not on next week's invoice.
No. So I think it'll be probably the 14th or the 21st.
Well, here's the thing. 3 came out a week late because there was a printing issue and they had to scrap it and reprint it, but they caught it before it went out.
Okay.
So 3 was late, but it didn't affect when 4 was coming out.
Okay. Well, I think we'll definitely get 4 in before 5, but it might be a week before.
But yeah, that is because it was never an initial order.
Right.
I never saw it.
Which means Comic Suite never signed people up for it, which means it never generated an order for it, which means when no orders were placed, it was easier for us to miss it.
And if we didn't have club member Brian K. email and say, hey, I think this came out this week, I didn't get one, and me say, no, we didn't get it, it didn't come out, and him say, no, I'm pretty sure it did. Here's a screen cap of the date being listed.
I appreciate him pressing the issue when he could have just as easily gone, oh, okay, my bad. And also having supporting documents to point to go, it's here, which led to us delving into it further instead of just saying, it's not out yet. It's just a late book. It's fine.
Honestly, if he just said, oh, okay, we would have been like, okay, whatever. And then 3 months from now, been like, whatever happened to Die Die Die?
Yeah, right. When did that? But why is it so late?
Well,
why is everyone talking about how late Die 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 is? It's been 3 months.
Not only that, they're taking a break between story arcs.
Okay.
So it'll be 3 more months or whatever until 7 comes out. So at that point, I'd be looking at the sales figure saying, Why don't we have any sales data?
Where did it go?
What happened? What a ridiculous situation.
It's pretty dumb, and I guess it's one of those things that we would have never thought about, which is why don't they do surprise drops for comics like they do for albums, like specifically because of things like this. The serialized nature makes it incredibly difficult to make sure that subsequent orders are placed correctly.
I really thought that this would have been something they had worked out on Diamond's side ahead of time. And I'm not saying whose fault it is or why it happened, but you would think that by issue 2, we'd be able to
I'm super
have
curious.
orders and do things. And
we are not the only account that uses Comic Suite.
Yeah.
And I looked on the Comic Suite boards a couple days after this was brought to our attention to see, I was like, is anyone else complaining about this?
Nobody said a word.
Nobody was.
Yep.
So I could have just as easily posted something on there to go, hey, but I'm curious if this is a thing that more people missed out on that maybe don't realize it. And if this will be a thing that Image is going to catch any heat for.
It occasionally, rarely, but these things will happen where you and I both miss something. Mm-hmm. For example, barrier number 1.
I don't think we did. I think we just forgot.
I don't remember either way.
Okay. I think we just forgot.
Barrier 2 through 5 were offered on a returnable basis if you qualified for it, which we did.
Yeah, as long as you hit certain levels.
Yeah, but number 1 was never offered returnable, and we just assumed it was.
See, that I think over time I thought it was, but when it was announced, it was basically maximum discount. And it was basically it was a much cheaper issue for us to buy, so I think that's why we bought a lot of them.
Yeah.
And ones always sell better than 2 through 5s.
Sure.
So the idea that we have more than we had of 2 through 5 was specifically because people will always pick up issue 1, and then a fraction of them will pick up 2 through 5. A steadily decreasing percentage will pick up 2 through 5.
But yeah, a thing like Die 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 is something that I just never realized it wasn't in previews. I just when I'm doing the ordering, the process is so mind-numbing and so fraught with misery that you want it to be over.
Sure. I think it was in the catalog. It wasn't in the order form.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? It was listed
in
the catalog as hey, Die 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 is still available.
And all the covers are classified.
Right. But it wasn't...
it matters.
It didn't have a line item in the order form, basically. I think.
Well, we can't go back and check that out.
Not right now. Nor do I really care to. I mean, at the end of the day, it was a hiccup. It got fixed. You won't even notice a delay in 5 and 6 because we've ordered copies.
Hopefully.
We just got to remember to pull them for people.
Yep.
See how that goes.
But honestly, the sell-through numbers on Die 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 are microscopic compared to the rest of Kirkman's books. Even Outcast does better.
Yeah, Outcast has more subscribers for sure. And Oblivion Song has more subscribers than Die Die Die.
But I mean, the numbers, the numbers.
I wouldn't say microscopic. I would say there's a difference there, but it's 2 and 3 definitely were a steep drop off of issue 1.
I mean, the numbers I ordered for 4, 5, and 6 are a quarter of our Walking Dead numbers.
Yeah, but they're maybe 10 copies less than Oblivion Song and 5 copies less than Outcast.
That's still a larger percentage than I would have expected. Especially since it's Christopher Durham doing the art.
I like the art, don't get me wrong, but, Kirkman's books in general, Walking Dead, we've seen a lot of attrition on that book. Man, oh man.
Yeah, but then...
rat copies were I think it's, less than 5 rat copies we're ordering
then
now.
It scoots back up every once in a while.
We'll see, but all of his other books kind of follow the same pattern. Invincible was selling more or less between our Die 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 numbers and our Outcast numbers.
Yeah.
For years. Other books, Jesus. Abominable... What was the Wolfman book? Astonishing Wolfman?
Yeah. Astounding Wolfman.
Astounding Wolfman. Never sold great. What was some other Kirkman Image stuff? Anything?
Tech Jacket.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It was more Joe Keating at a later point. But yeah, in general, Walking Dead is kind of the exception. Outcast does well in trades. And Invincible does okay in trades.
And had its core.
But yeah, Oblivion Song, we don't sell a lot of trades. The older stuff no one asks for. Yeah, Die 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 is selling like an Image book nowadays, which is kind of not great. And the Kirkman name, you would assume that it matters more, but I mean, historically, it doesn't.
Oh, well. Historically, you can't really compare anymore.
I guess.
With anything. So, yesterday, a website called Hoodline. Are you familiar with Hoodline?
I was this morning, yes.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Diamond Daily had a piece about it.
Oh, okay.
But prior to that, I had never heard of it.
Hoodline released an article that ranked the 50 most favorite comic shops.
Okay.
In the country, I guess it was. And it was basically a correlation of Yelp reviews. Mm-hmm. And it took into account the number of reviews and the level of reviews.
Okay.
And of the top 50, there were 3 stores in Chicago.
Yep.
The highest ranking one, which I'll try not to rant.
Uh-huh.
Quimby's.
Quimby's bookstore.
Mm-hmm. I did... I chatted with Jermaine Exum from Acme a little bit about this yesterday, because he was one of the first people to post it where I saw it.
Was Acme on the list? I don't remember.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't remember, to be honest. It was 50 stores.
Yeah.
And
well, I didn't know if you brought it up maybe in a conversation like, hey, I'm on this list.
I don't think it was.
Okay.
And this is a thing regular listeners of this podcast have heard me say all the time. Quimby's is a wonderful alternative bookstore. I like it. I buy stuff whenever I go in. I don't consider it a comic store.
No, but a lot of people in Chicago
It is majority books and a whole bunch of zines. You can't walk in and buy the newest Amazing Spider-Man. And I think that's a thing you should be able to do if you're a comic store.
I guess. I mean, I don't know if I would pick Amazing Spider-Man, but there's definitely a lot of comic books that we would stock that Quimby's would not. Conversely, there's a lot of things Quimby stocks that we would not. I was sitting behind 2 women on a bus, and as the bus passed by Quimby's, one said to the other that Quimby's is her favorite comic shop. So there is a belief in a lot of people that A, Quimby's is a comic shop, and B, Quimby's is their favorite comic shop.
Yeah, and I want to point out, I preface it by saying I don't consider them a comic shop.
But we've had discussions in the past about is or is not Quimby's a comic shop. We would not consider it a comic shop, but a lot of people do. I thought it was funny that Quimby's was apparently a better comic shop than Chicago Comics.
Yes.
That was a surprise.
Yep, that was pretty funny.
You should absolutely have Chicago Comics on a list of the 50 most favorite shops in the United States, but having it be outranked by Quimby's is like, I don't know about that. But it's most favorite, and I guess more people like Quimby's than like Chicago Comics.
And honestly, most favorite is fine. I didn't do anything about this, but there were several stores on the list saying, hey, we're number whatever of the best stores in America.
Nope.
No, not the best.
No.
The most favorite. And that is 100% me saying it out of sour grapes. Because we're not on the list.
I was bummed out a little bit that 3 stores from Chicago made it. We weren't one of them. I'll admit that makes me a bad person.
Okay,
sure.
But that made me go research some stuff.
Right.
Now, of all the comic stores in Chicago and the suburbs, just using Yelp, the 3 that have the most reviews, and I'm putting Quimby's in this just in context of the article.
Sure.
Chicago Comics, Quimby's, Challengers.
Okay.
We have more reviews than everybody except those other 2 stores. We have more 5-star reviews than First Aid has reviews.
First Aid also made the list.
First Aid made the list.
Yes. Congratulations, First Aid.
Which I nothing but love for First Aid. And this is First Aid Hyde Park.
Okay. Both those guys run great stores.
Right. No, and I'm not singling them out. I'm just saying I don't understand the metric.
Sure.
Because...
Well, there was a thing, and I don't have it handy, and I don't really feel like going to look it up, but there was a thing in their methodology where they mentioned their, and I'm using my air quotes here to show my disdain for the term, their special sauce.
Yeah.
To come up with their ranking.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things I want to make abundantly clear here is that since this is not a authoritative source ranking the stores in the country on reliable and transparent criteria, the list is all over the place because it's basically the 50 most favorite. And one of the things that I think they sort of hint at in their introductory paragraph is that the favorite store of someone in Chicago would not necessarily be the favorite store of somebody who lives in, say, Tennessee.
Right.
Or in Arizona. Or in North Dakota. Or in Washington. So you're getting a lot of stores where it's favorite, but you can look at it, and I know some of these stores, and I'm like, man, I don't know if you would put that shop on the same list as that chain, or that alternative bookstore on the same list as that variants and back issue store. Like, those are very different experiences that I don't feel like there's a lot of overlap in. Like, the audience that would look at Quimby's as their favorite comic shop, full stop, is not necessarily the same audience that's going to buy stuff at, say, Bedrock City.
Right.
Like, those
or
are...
Challengers.
Or Challengers. I'll give you that. Those are very different experiences. So, I mean, there's something to be said for the diversity of comic shops, the breadth of the types of stores that you can experience in North America and in the United States as well, specifically maybe. But they are very different experiences. And so a list of like 50 favorite, obviously it would be nice to be on that list, and we might be having a completely different discussion had we made that list. But not making the list kind of makes you look at it and go, what does it matter?
Right.
I don't know. I mean,
right.
to boil it all down to the most basic kind of rebuttal, we want an Eisner. We want an Eisner, and that doesn't matter either.
Right.
What does it matter? What does it even matter? It's nice.
And for
it's
the record, I can handle losing out to either First Aid any day of the week. I'd still be like, well, this or that, but I have no problem with either First Aid.
No, and
winning a favoritist store award above us.
Part of me feels tacky, even like having a gripe about the way the list is put together, because I don't want to take anything away from the many, many good stores that are on there. I don't know all of them. I haven't been to all of them, but there's a bunch I've been to or been friends with, and am able to kind of point at and go, yeah, those are good stores. Those people know what they're doing. But yeah, I mean, when you're doing something where it's aggregated data, it's not going to be great.
Yeah.
I
mean, there's no quantifiable way to make a list of the best stores. Would that be who makes the most money?
Well, I mean, we've... I don't know if we've talked about it on the podcast, but I know that you and I have even groused about the way the Eisners handle picking a best comic shop. Because it's not like the judges, who are different every year, go to every shop in the country and go, okay, well, these are the best stores, and then we voted internally to figure out who the best store of the finalists was. It's, stores have to be nominated by somebody, and then the nominated store has to submit a packet. And then off of that packet, a group of judges that, the majority change every year, have to figure out which of these submissions is the best. Not even what's the best store. What's the best submission? What's the one that tells us a story that we're the most excited about,
Yeah.
You can be a great store and put together a terrible submission. We were nominated without winning multiple times.
We were nominated once before we were even eligible.
Yeah, while the store
we had to say, hey, thanks, we're not eligible by your own rules.
While the store changed and evolved structurally, hopefully making it something where by the time we won, that was when we deserved to win. Other years, it might have just been, we didn't do as good a video as we should have, and we didn't show the store off the way we should have. We didn't put together a informational packet that showed off all the things that we did as well as we wanted. It could have been the judges that were on the panel that year weren't looking for what we were doing.
Right.
So all these things are so...
We've heard a story of somebody who got disgruntled, didn't submit for 2 years. When they did resubmit, they just submitted an old one and won. Yeah.
These things are so monumentally subjective that it's hard to read too much into it. But obviously, when the list is like 5 stores, like whatever. When it's 50, it's like, we didn't make 50, like the top 50 stores. But again, like when they say special sauce, it's like, well, I don't know how much stock I put in this. Like, I don't know if they were looking for a more geographic spread, and so they were, like if Chicago Comics is a North Side store, and Quimby's is like if we're in the same neighborhood as Quimby's, maybe they don't want to pick 2 stores in Bucktown.
Yeah,
I
think even Quimby's and Chicago Comics are too close for what they were trying to do.
Well, I mean, the 3 of us, like Chicago Comics, Challengers, and Quimby's, are very close together geographically. Certainly, if you're only going to do 50 from the entire country. Like, sure, okay. But anyway, that was a list. I'd never heard of Hoodline before, but I had strong feelings about them after 5 minutes. Again,
they did their job. They put out an article that got a lot of people talking.
Sure, good or bad, it caused discussion.
Right.
And this is going to sound hollow considering the griping and stuff, But legitimately, for the folks that made the list, I'm sure you all deserve to. I'm sure you are all good stores that do good things in different ways, I'm going to assume. But all stores that deserve whatever accolades come your way. And hopefully nothing we've said makes you feel any less about that. I would not want to be a jerk and chide someone for winning something I didn't, even though I guess it's technically what I just did.
Counterpoint, I think you should all go... No, just kidding.
Too late.
Speaking of stores, we found out that Southern Fried Comics from Hattiesburg, Mississippi is closing at the end of the year, and Southern Fried Comics is owned by Barry Henning and Jayme Foster, and Jayme was the vice president of Comics Pro for my tenure on the board. Mm-hmm. She was the vice president of Comics Pro. Okay. I was going to say the board, but of Comics Pro. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, she was, I served under her. Mm-hmm. And I appreciate what they had posted. They just said, hey, FYI, end of the year, we're closing. No big story, no big thing, just, store's going to close. That's it.
Okay.
That's not like no sour grapes of sales are terrible, or we lost our lease, or someone is ill. Mm-hmm. Just like, nope, we're going.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the hidden benefits of being your own boss, is that if you're sick of being your own boss, you can stop being your own boss and shut down your business.
But I feel a personal connection with them because of my time with Jayme, but also I follow them on Facebook. I see what they're doing. They have a cute logo of a chicken reading a comic.
Cool.
Like the comics on the ground, and it's like it's,
okay,
in the pose of it feeding.
Sure.
So good luck to especially Barry, who was in the store all the time, to whatever comes next.
Yeah.
I kind of like... I mean, again, I don't know the surroundings, but this feels like, no, I think, like, the time is now.
Sure.
Like, go out on top kind of thing.
Yeah, the job doesn't always get easier. It usually gets harder, especially as you get older. Almost everyone involved in a business has the same kind of graph line of steadily decreasing your involvement with the store as time goes on, because it can be a grind. Sometimes that just drops off a cliff, and you're like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, speaking of a grind, I did some numbers today, and October of 2018 did $1,600 more than October of 2017.
Sure.
And that is with a fifth Wednesday.
Uh-huh. Kind of. That fifth week thing.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Wednesday is always our biggest day of the week.
It's true.
Except for that one Saturday.
Yeah.
So having a fifth one of those, regardless of the quality of the books come out.
Sure.
So, I mean, up is up.
Yeah, but at the same time, October 2017 was catastrophically bad.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
So being up over that is like, okay.
The records that we have, like, we can dig, but we have 2014 through 2018.
Oh my God. What was the drop from 2016 to 2017? I want to say it was like 10 or 15%.
Well, the point
a lot.
The point I was going to make was that 2018 is our second lowest October as far as these records go back.
Although, trending up.
Yeah.
Trending up.
Hey, look, I did just say up is up.
Yep.
Yeah, that is a thing. So, Dal, I had some ideas.
Okay.
That one of the detriments of not recording for so long is that when I have something I want to talk to you about that I think, oh, this is good podcast stuff, I'll hold it.
And then you'll forget.
I mean, they're on the board.
Okay.
I wrote them on the board, so I don't forget. But these are conversations we would normally have, in the store.
Sure. Or
not. But anyway, and I'm going to preface this by saying that I pitched these ideas to Donovan today. And Donovan said, do one of them, not both.
Okay.
So these are both related to bags.
Customer bags.
Customer bags and tote bags.
Okay. Carrying bags. Gotcha.
Yes, bags for product that has been purchased at Challengers.
Okie dokie.
Number one, plastic bags. Everybody, that's not true. Already that's a lie. Most people, I assume, a lot of people, okay, fine. Some people in their lives wind up getting a lot of plastic shopping bags. We do. You and I constantly have a ton of bags.
Okay.
I always find myself at the store and like, oh man, there's a bag in the car. I don't want to go get it. I didn't bring one. I'll just get a bag.
Yeah, bad global citizen.
So we have all these bags.
Uh-huh.
How would you feel about us having a bag receptacle in the store for people to bring their bags, and that way people don't have to pay 7 cents for a bag. They can take a bag out of the donated bag section. And I envision this as like a lidless garbage pail that lives under one of the front tables.
Okay, so 2 problems I would have with it.
Okay.
1, you're going to be cleaning garbage out of it all the time.
True.
People
think it's a garbage pail.
Yeah, you're going to have half-empty Starbucks cups and McDonald's cups and food wrappers and whatever else, because people are just going to see it and they're going to see bags in there, so they're just going to be like, burp. And you will always be there to catch them.
They won't see it as much as you think it does, because they don't see them when we actually do have a garbage on the floor. But anyway, number 2.
The other thing is, I feel like it's a problem that isn't as big a deal. Like, bags are only 7 cents.
Oh, it's not a problem.
Right.
I'm only suggesting it just because everybody has so many bags, and while grocery stores have these receptacles up front, how many people actually go back and bring them back?
Well, I want to say the receptacles at the grocery store are to recycle them. Like,
okay.
It's not to reuse them. It's the kind of bags that you get at grocery stores you cannot put in your blue recycling bin.
Right.
You have to take them back there to get them recycled.
One of the things that I'll do is if I buy something for the store and it comes in a bag like that, we keep it aside next to the bags.
Right.
So in case somebody needs a bag, we just give them one of those rather than have to charge them the 7 cents or whatever.
Usually it's for somebody who forgot to ask for a bag or said no to a bag and then needs one and they only have a credit card and we can't run a 7 cent charge. And
I don't want to keep them behind the counter because we already have a trash and a recycling. We don't have room for a third receptacle.
I would definitely not want to keep them behind the counter. I'm not crazy about it. What was the other idea?
You're going to like it even less.
Okay. You never know.
The same type of thing, but for tote bags. Because...
Like leave a tote, take a tote?
Yes. We have so many damn tote bags in the back room. We got another one from Small Business Saturday.
I got one from TFCon that's just next to my dresser.
So, for the scenario in which somebody needs a bag, like, hey, we have a tote. You can take a tote. Maybe one day bring a tote back, or people can donate their old totes.
Sure.
Or whatever.
I just don't want to get involved in it, I guess.
Okay.
I don't want to be responsible for reallocating totes and stuff.
All right, well, Dal doesn't like either of my ideas, so we're done, everybody.
Thanks for listening. That's it for Challengers.
I knew you wouldn't like either idea.
Number 51 on the list.
I knew it. I knew you wouldn't.
Thank you for bringing this to my attention. I do appreciate your constantly thinking about different things that we can do at the store. We did just institute an idea that you'd had that took a couple revisions, but we got there. The
what that means is
it
took a couple revisions for you said, fine.
I did not say fine. I got on board with it.
Okay.
I did like it. But it was a thing that, and this happens occasionally with both of us, where there's an idea and it's like not sold. And sometimes it's, okay, moving on. And sometimes it's, I really want to do this. What is the way to get this other person on board with it? Like, what is the tweak to it? And sometimes that comes from, like your idea I might want to tweak, and sometimes your idea you'll just tweak, and then it'll be like, that's it. That works. I like that.
It's never me tweaking your idea, apparently.
Well, I was going to say, like, it vice versa. Like, it can go the other way, where I'll have an idea and you're like, no, and then I come back a week later and I'm like, wait, what about this? But sometimes it's, I have an idea and you're like, no, and then a few days later you're like, well, okay, I don't want to do that, but what if we did this instead? And then it's like, okay, that's something we can both be on board with.
And this kind of goes against something that you had said. You never wanted a spinner rack in the store.
I don't recall saying that, but I don't love them. That's true.
Yeah.
I don't. I guess the thing I have against them is it's a kind of nostalgia that I don't know that we necessarily traffic in, and a lot of our customers don't have.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
sure.
We've got a lot of people that never bought a comic off a spinner rack at a grocery store or convenience store. Like, that didn't exist when they were a kid because they're so much younger than you or I. And yeah, it doesn't, the idea that every comic shop should kind of have a spinner rack is a thing that I don't subscribe to necessarily.
I don't necessarily believe every comic shop should have one, but I do have the nostalgia for them.
Sure.
Which is why I have one right here.
You do. It's true.
Which, by the way, I offered to make this one the store one.
No.
But you said no.
No. We can buy one. It's fine.
So,
it's a store fixture.
Our spinner rack at Challengers has our dollar comics on it. Mm-hmm. And
does it
dollar
wobble?
Comics,
does it wobble at all?
Not anymore. Now it is on a stern base. Thank you, Mike Lee. We keep the dollar books on it because, as far as we're concerned, those dollar books, and by dollar books we don't mean our back issues, we mean Marvel's True Believers, IDW's 100 Penny Press,
Image Firsts.
Image Firsts, yeah. DC doesn't currently have any, but
Oni and Boom, I think both do dollar books.
Yeah,
Oni does for
Oni
sure.
does.
We got a few.
So those, because one of the things you were always against with spinner racks is the way people would bend the books forward.
Sure.
But
gets destroyed.
These have a much higher lip on them, so you can't really bend them.
But more importantly,
they have a bottom on each unit, so there's a flat base for the books, so they don't just rest on two wire pegs.
But even more importantly, they are $1.
Yeah, so if they get damaged...
$4 comic gets beat up, I'm taking a loss on that. $1 comic gets destroyed? Alright, whatever.
We really only consider these reader copies. That's why I'm always a little bit perplexed when people buy bags and boards for them.
Sure.
I mean, there are legitimately books that I own.
People do it for free comic day comics, so I don't know.
Well, some of those are with money down.
Jesus.
Yeah. So we now have a rotating display in the store.
Rotating display spinner rack.
No, I meant for the...
Oh, okay. Oh, you meant for the other section.
Yeah.
A spotlight section that we rotate the books that are on there.
Yeah.
Yes. I thought you were referring to
the way it spins, no.
A rotating display.
To give Kent a little bit of credit, he was in today, and I told him what I want him to build for us for the top of it, and he pointed out the structural issues that it would have, and he came up with a solution.
Look, I'm willing to go in for a 3D scan of myself reading a $1 comic if you're willing to do the same. I just need him to execute it, you know?
Okay, but how do you fix it to the top?
That
is the specific point of contention he had with my plan.
My idea was it would be life size.
Okay, but also how does it go up there?
Well, we would just stand the two of them on top, and they'd be like back to back.
The two of them. You just said you.
Well, you and I.
said
no.
you.
I said you would as well. You and I are both getting.
I thought you
3D
meant
scan.
I would want what you.
No,
would want
I'm not giving you one of me being 3D scanned. No, that's ridiculous. No, the two of us being comic readers and 3D scanned and being reproduced life size on a 3D printer, they're so big they wouldn't fall into the gap, so they would just rest on top.
I see. You realize it would never spin with it. That's the case.
It doesn't need to, Patrick.
But anyway,
it's an art installation. Anyway, back on topic.
Yeah.
Hopefully that'll be something cool that Kent does.
No, I just told you he shot my idea down.
Oh, I thought he
came up with a solution, but it would require effort on my part.
Oh, okay. Let's not do it then.
So, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it can be done.
But not soon.
Also, using that same kind of logic, I figured out a way we can adjust the enamel pin rack.
Mm-hmm.
Because Donovan points out that she physically can't reach the top of it.
Uh-huh. Some people can.
And it's not the sturdiest because I added a section to it that wasn't supposed to be added because it has a finite amount of height.
Uh-huh.
But I'm like, no, we need it taller. So I jury-rigged it to make it fit.
Uh-huh.
To make it fit. There is a way we can redo it, but we'll see if I care.
Okay.
It would also mean losing a level.
Oh.
Because the whole point is bringing it down.
No.
Yeah. Here's my next idea that I'm not even on board with. Halloween came and went.
Yep. Happy
and
Halloween.
So far we participated in one Halloween Comicfest.
How'd that go?
It was not to our liking. But looking at the stores that did crazy business for their Halloween Comic Fests, and then looking at what other stores, not comic stores, but just stores in the city did for it, one of the reasons I was always against Halloween Comic Fest is, for example, there is a Halloween parade in Bucktown always the Sunday before Halloween.
Okay.
Halloween Comic Fest is always the Saturday before or of Halloween.
Okay.
People have Halloween parties the Saturday before or of Halloween.
Sure.
And I figured all of these things take away from people wanting to go to the store.
Uh-huh.
But people love their costumes.
They do.
People want reasons to wear their costumes.
Sure, look at comic conventions now. Jesus.
What if next year for Halloween Comicfest, we actually went all out, we decorate the store, we buy a bunch of books to give away, and we promote it as a costume event. I don't want to say costume contest, because I don't like having to judge those things.
Okay.
I never want to hurt people's feelings.
What's the event component then?
A costume parade. A costume, show off your costume. It's a costume thing.
Okay.
So that way, even if you have another thing to go to, you'll swing by the store.
To just show us? Like, I'm not... I like the idea. I'm just trying to suss it out. Like, I'm thinking about it from an outside observer perspective.
I haven't looked to see what other stores did as far as reward for it, but, I mean, that's... You want to be acknowledged in your costume.
I guess I'm just curious, like, who's acknowledging it?
They get free comics for us acknowledging it. I don't know.
Because, like, basically in a party setting, people are there.
Yeah.
You know? If someone comes into the store at 2 in the afternoon on a Saturday, there's not necessarily going to be a critical mass of people. It could be nobody. It could be 5 people. It could be... So, what is... Someone who is dressing up, who is coming in with their costume, who's seeing it, I guess?
Well, that's the beauty of this idea, Dal. We have a year to figure that out.
Okay. I'm not opposed to it.
I'm not opposed to it, but I mean, I think when we can pull off an event, we have, like, an event day, like a Batman day.
Mm-hmm.
People show up in costume then.
Yeah, I mean, Free Comic Day, Batman Day. People,
sure.
Again, people don't need much of an excuse to wear a costume.
And Halloween is
and I think doing
earmarked for costumes.
Yeah, certainly I don't think people having parties they go to on Saturday night is a thing that would...
deter them from...
Right, if anything, it's a benefit because, you know, they can do a thing in the afternoon with their costume and then go to the party.
Yeah.
It's easier to justify. You don't have to go home and change. It's not a separate day. It's not on top of something else. Yeah, I would be okay with going out for Halloween Comicfest next year, of trying to put more into it. Yeah, not really 100% clear on how we would do that and how we would incentivize it for people.
You realize that means you have to wear a costume.
I got a year. I'll figure it out.
Okay.
Maybe that spirit store will still be on the corner.
It'll be back by then, sure.
Probably.
Sure.
They're not going to rent that old auto parts store to anybody else in the meantime?
I had an idea for if I was going to do Halloween next year, but I don't think my costume is... It's not inappropriate for the store, but I don't think it fits in the context.
Sure.
But I gotta say, like, if anybody... The 3 major properties that I would have no idea what you are is if you came as a Fortnite character.
I definitely would not.
An Overwatch character.
I definitely would not.
And whatever that kids superhero property is that we always see the toys at Toys R Us.
The PJ one?
Is that what they're?
I think so. I would never do that, no.
No, I'm just saying that I wouldn't recognize.
Right.
I'm not saying you wouldn't dress up as them. I'm saying you wouldn't.
I definitely would not dress up as them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I have not had a costume thing in many years, so I certainly am not thinking about it on November 2nd. But yeah, I would dress up in a costume if we were doing a thing. Like, I did it when we used to do the Halloween parties at night.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be a great costume, but it would be a costume.
Yeah.
I did a costume.
And, like, we would take photos and put photos of everybody up on our social media. I think that's a draw for people.
I definitely think that's part of it. It'd be interesting to maybe do a new backdrop, like the banner that we have that we bring to shows, like maybe a wider one that's more of like a Challenger's backdrop.
Well, I've always wanted to do one, like, for a photo backdrop, which is, it alternates like they all do, like, C, logo, and then staggered.
Sure. Maybe.
You know, repeating.
Or
like for a red carpet kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that would be worth doing, maybe.
That's a different thing than a convention backdrop.
Right.
Because a convention backdrop, you want a stark image, too.
No, this is purely for...
photo ops.
The socials.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it's worth pursuing that idea and putting more into it. We have a lot of other stuff that we're doing before then, so I don't know how much I want to plot stuff out now. But, yeah, I would be okay doing a larger Halloween event in 2019.
You know, some of that other stuff, one of the things that we can only announce partial interferes with Christmas decorations. The spinner rack is where the tree would normally go.
Right.
So the tree was going to get pushed to somewhere else, but if we need to be able to have space for 2 tables
Yeah.
early December,
Yeah.
like, we could easily fit the tree and a table.
Uh-huh.
We can't fit 2 tables and the tree.
How big is the base on the tree? Like, how big of an area do you need?
A lot.
Okay.
What were you thinking?
On top of the back issues?
Oh, bigger, way bigger than that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I have an idea.
Okay.
It's not great.
It's a good start.
On top of the graphic novels.
I guess.
Put a board across there, put the tree up. But I don't like that.
I guess.
I don't like that. And we could just wait and do the tree like December 2nd or something. I don't like that either.
Okay.
I like at least 4 weeks of a tree.
Well, as someone who is not invested in Christmas decorations to any degree, I will let you figure out the best path forward
the
on the
easy
decorations.
answer is just put the tree in sidekicks.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, see, I don't like that idea.
That area is already pretty crowded. I don't want to put more stuff in there.
Well, no, we would just take away 2 of the kids' tables.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
Okay. What if we get rid of all of the local comics? That is a thing we'll talk at another time. What we're referencing briefly, and we'll have more details for this later, but we can say it now. We will be having, I'll do the events in order. Let's do the events just quickly. We're not done talking about stuff, but we'll talk about events now. I brought it up. Monday, November 12th, Women's Comics Night Friendsgiving. It is a potluck where women and trans and non-binary creators are welcome to bring something to share. It is like a Thanksgiving type of dinner. You don't have to bring food to show up. You can still eat if you don't. But for the number of straight men who are trying to join the Women's Comics Night Facebook group,
Please stop doing
I'm
that.
sorry it's not for you.
Please stop doing that.
Nor is this event for you.
As always, we wouldn't need to do stuff like Women's Comics Night for women and non-binary fans if all of these dudes didn't have to make it about them.
Yeah.
That's why we have to do this event, is because these dudes cannot handle being excluded from anything ever in their lives, so they have to forcefully include themselves in areas that they are not needed at all. So yeah, oh my gosh. Dudes, quit it. Quit it, you dudes.
Moving on, Saturday, November 17th, we will have Andrew Roston signing his Form of a Question graphic novel, his autobiographical look at his time on the quiz show Jeopardy, the second quiz show event kind of thing we've done recently. That same weekend, it's ShyTag, the Chicago Toy and Gaming Fair at Navy Pier, and challengers will have a booth there. Dal and I will be there that Friday and Saturday, the 17th and the 18th. And Kent had asked that we bring...
Is it Saturday and Sunday?
Yeah.
You said Friday and Saturday.
Did I? I'm sorry. Saturday and Sunday. My mistake. We'll be there setting up Friday.
Yeah, we will be there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, but the show is Saturday and Sunday.
Kent has asked us to bring some of the Challenger-exclusive Tarbuses to the show.
Okay. Your call.
Because it is a toy show.
Okay.
And he's looking for more Instagram opportunities with it as well.
Okay.
So, yeah, I told him he would. That's fine. So the Andrew Roston signing is the same time as ShyTag, but Ashley and Samantha will be handling the signing.
Sure.
Dal and I will be at Navy Pier, and that'll be an experience in itself, because it's a toy and game show, and we'll be there.
Yeah.
And then the following weekend, Black Friday, we will have a Black Friday sale.
We should mention real quick that we will be closed on Thanksgiving.
Oh, okay.
The 22nd of November, we will be closed.
That seems selfish.
Nah. I mean, look, Bears game?
I don't work Thursdays, so it's not on me.
Bears game?
Food.
Don't really want to wear anything more than sweatpants for most of the day, if that's possible.
Are you going to Detroit for the game?
No.
Oh,
no.
Okay. Just checking. I mean, I know you're a fan.
Of watching the Bears at home? Yes. It's true.
But you're going to wait, an hour and a half.
It starts at 11:30. Ugh.
But I mean, you don't want to watch it live. You hate watching it live.
No, I actually like watching it live.
Do you really?
Yeah, because
you can't fast forward.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I'm forced to watch it live. I'm forced to experience it live instead of thinking, I could fast forward through this dull 3-and-out stretch, which was the entirety of their last game. Yeah, being able to...
I know, I told you I'd watch it with you.
Uh-huh.
I just had to run Sam home, and by the time I got back, you were done.
It was in the fourth quarter.
It was 4 minutes left.
Yeah. It was already late at night. I did not want to be up for 2+ hours watching the Bears game.
Hey, tell everybody your halftime rule. As a Bears fan.
Oh, as a Bears fan, if the Bears are down by more than 21 points at the half, I stop watching the game because there's no way they're coming back from that.
More than 21 or 21 or more? 21 points.
21 or more.
Okay.
It's fine. Basically, 3 touchdowns. If they're losing by that much, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done. I've only had to invoke that rule a few times, and I don't think I haven't needed to this season, which is nice.
Right. So far.
But like a couple years ago, it was like, it was
Every week.
a few times. I think they were getting murdered.
Moving on. So, Black Friday sale, details on the website, on Facebook. You can find it there. And then, it seems like every weekend. Saturday, December 1st, we're going to have a Lumberjanes event at the store. In the later afternoon, so far, we have Lumberjanes writer Lila Sturgis signing.
Who is the writer of the most recently released original graphic novel, Infernal Compass.
Which we already have in stock.
Yeah, it's already out, so you can pick it up before the event.
But we'll definitely have more. We will have more to announce for that day, and it won't be just a Lila signing, which, by the way, is plenty enough, because Lila is not from Chicago, and I don't know the last time she was here, but she has never been to Challengers before.
Okay. But yeah, we're going to see what we can do to plus up the event.
Yeah. There we go. And then Monday, December 10th is Women's Comics Night for December. They're doing a White Elephant game. I should point out that they're doing charity events for each one. The November one is raising money for the Center in Halstead, and you can donate on Facebook right now. And the December one, I forget, but it's December 10th is Human Rights Day.
Okay.
So I believe it has a human rights component.
I hope the human rights campaign.
I believe that was what was talked about. I don't remember.
That's where I give to on a monthly basis.
Officially.
So women's comics nights, at least for the next 2, are charity focused?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And maybe something later in December, something more holiday themed and more holiday fun and more holiday related. We will wait and see how that goes. But I did want to mention, since we're talking about charity, and you and I the store donated to the Center in Halstead, by the way, where cake is held every June.
Yep.
Another GoFundMe we just supported this week was the Mark Waid Legal Fund. And Mark Waid is raising money because he is being sued by the comics and diversity people. And even though he's going to win easily,
well,
Mark Zaid is his attorney.
I mean, he'll win, but easily is kind of why this
it still costs
legal
a lot
fund
of
needs
money.
to exist.
It still costs a lot of money. As of today, he hit his goal, which was $75,000. But there's still plenty of room to go. There's who knows? I mean, that's just an estimated cost of what it can be.
Lawsuits like this can take a long time.
Yeah.
And everyone involved on the legal side is expensive.
One of the neat things that he's doing is the last time I looked at his donor list, it was like 1,400 people. And he wrote to us. He emailed us specifically thanking for the donation and saying that best he could tell we were the first store to have donated, and he thought that was pretty cool.
Oh, that's nice of him.
So if he is thanking everybody individually, that's amazing.
I wonder if the next issue of Doctor Strange is just Doctor Strange thanking 1,400 people.
Maybe.
It would be weird.
You had pointed out that somebody on the other side of this issue started a GoFundMe for the person who's actually suing Mark Waid. That side already has more money than Mark Waid.
Very quickly, too.
So I did some investigating. It has more money with less people. Here's why.
Okay.
One donor donated $18,000.
Seems like a lot of money.
One donor donated $12,000.
Okay.
One donor donated $10,001.
Wow.
$40,000 of that is 3 people.
Okay. Still.
Yeah.
It's some motivated donors.
That is a tremendous amount of money.
Yeah.
But I mean, that explains why they've made that much with less people.
It would be nice if people were as motivated to donate to Mark Waid, but, I guess they're not.
Scrolling through the list of names, there's a lot of comic creators who are donating for Mark Waid, and the higher dollar amounts usually are from creators.
Sure.
I was happy to see other retailers that I know who I guess they didn't put their store names in, which is why Mark said he thought we were the first. But then you see creators on the other side.
Sure.
And then I came across people with I assume are just different names, like the same name but different person.
Sure.
You know, it would be like if I saw a Dow Bush on the other side, I would not assume it's you.
Okay.
There's some club member names I saw, and I thought, wait a minute. But I mean, they're common names.
Yeah, a lot of people in the world.
I'm not going to mention their names now, just in case I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Because one of the names that is similar is somebody who listens to this podcast that I know of. But the point of bringing this up is that if you want to contribute to Mark Waid's legal defense fund, it is on GoFundMe. Just go to GoFundMe.com and search Mark Waid.
Okay.
It is Mark with a K. There's plenty of room to donate, and he outlines what he's doing.
Sure. Where the money's going.
I mean, not specific like a Kickstarter breakdown.
No, but I mean, he gives a sense of like what he needs this money for, and
disappointingly, I read the reasons behind the counter GoFundMe, and I'm not well versed in the specifics of each of these situations. I found several inaccuracies in it, just off the top of my head.
Well, I guess that's what legal arguments are for.
That's disappointing. It just seems that in today's political climate, it's very easy to say something you don't have to back up with facts. But as you said, that's what legal arguments are for.
Sure. I mean, the court of public opinion is incredibly easy to sway. An actual court is a little bit more stringent.
Yep.
They are less likely to take flights of fancy and hyperbole as written.
So we were just talking about people that have donated money to a cause they believe in. And that brings us around to the point where we like to thank our patrons who are giving money to a cause that they believe in, which is this very podcast. So I would like to take this opportunity to thank the patrons that are in the thank you level. That includes Jose Villagomez, Thomas Nagovin from Century Guild, Artie White, who was forced to dress up as one of those characters that...
PJ people?
Yeah. Is that their name, PJ people?
I think it's like PJ Masks. I think
Okay.
That's right.
Okay. The entire Springham family, who had wonderful costumes for Halloween this year. Tom, whose last name we don't know. Christina McChrystal, who makes it in for the right time this time. We didn't forget her this time. Jacob Sorelli from Kamikaze, and I think it's pronounced with an H, so maybe for the first time I got it right, pronouncing.
Maybe.
I don't know. Robert Lane. Morgan Kaiju Perry from Boom Studios, who we've been talking with a bunch this week, thanks to the Lumberjanes event that's coming up. My brother George Brower. Michael Romanenko. Mitchell Davies from All Star Comics in Melbourne. Ryan Alcock. And the earlier mentioned Mike Lee, who helped us fix the spinner rack.
Thanks, everybody.
We appreciate you being patrons. We also got an email from Patreon today that they have a special thank you day coming up that we'll try to do something for.
Okay.
And we also had a representative from Square come by today.
Ooh.
They're doing a special Black Friday event, which, spoiler alert, not on Black Friday.
Huh.
It is a specific Google Pay event
Okay.
where they want us to offer a 15 to 30% discount to anybody who uses Google Pay on a specific day.
Okay.
They reimburse that.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Because otherwise the answer is a hard no.
Yeah. They reimburse it up to a certain dollar amount, which
Okay.
I don't know that we would hit their dollar amount. They handed out a one sheet saying, hey, this
Sure.
is what it's about basically, but I don't know if it's like, we'll reimburse you for your processing or something like that.
Right. Yeah. I guess we can investigate later.
But that is a thing that, and they don't even have, they're like, it's either going to be like December or, yeah, they're not sure exactly when
Okay.
it's going to be.
All right.
And I think it's geographical based by the stores that have.
If they want to subsidize a discount for a certain transaction type, okay.
We got a phone call from Comcast today, and when she's like, can I talk to who's in charge of the Comcast account? Which sounds like a solicitor. I'm like, this might be about the returned devices that they haven't,
That they lost.
given us credit for or what have you.
Or I guess not lost. Can't locate.
Well, don't have a record of us returning everything.
Uh-huh.
I don't want to point out that the phone modem is still in the trash room. Just FYI, which we don't use anymore because we don't. Yeah. But anyway, I did tell somebody on the phone that we were told we didn't have to return everything. Like, they don't want the power cords, they don't want the remotes, because all that stuff is so outdated anyway.
Sure.
And the woman on the phone said, "No, we usually ask for every single thing back." I'm like,
You didn't.
I don't, but I didn't talk to them specifically. I'm like, I'm pretty sure they didn't. But she's like, well, I'll make a note that that's what you said.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, okay.
All right.
I mean, you're already recording this call anyway, so you haven't. So that's fine. But then it was just like, yeah, so we want to talk about your Comcast service. I'm like, we don't use Comcast. You don't? No, we use AT&T. Thank you for your time. Okay, so it wasn't about our returned cable box or whatever.
Okie dokie.
Anyway, there it is. This is what you get when we have 2 weeks worth of stuff building up. Quality.
Okay.
Thanks for listening.
Keep reading comics.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. Like Challengers Comics on Facebook, follow @Challengers on Twitter, and help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.